Good evening. My name is Cheryl Hudson Jackson, and I'm the Senior Director of Economic Empowerment and Youth Development Programs for the YWCA Lake County. And I'm a proud member of the African American Community Partnership Group. And welcome to our Facebook Live presentation on voting in Lake County. The African American Community Partnership Group's mission is to collectively work to eradicate disparities among those underserved in the African American community, and doing this through advocacy, education, and social justice, while the YWCA's mission is to eliminate racism and to empower women. And what a cornucopia of ideas and concepts that are hanging on this year's voting situation. I mean, today is the first night of the presidential debates between President Trump and Vice President Biden. And so all of the things that we stand for are going to be on the dais tonight. So I would encourage you, after you have a great opportunity of listening to us discuss what's going on in Lake County, to tune in to watch the debates this evening. But I want to bring you some really good information tonight from two experts from our Lake County Clerk's Office. And so I'd like to introduce Mr. Todd Covain, the Chief Deputy Clerk, and Ms. Jeanette Sanchez, who is the voter registration specialist at the Lake County Clerk's Office. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Welcome.
Oh, this is great to have you here. You know, COVID's made it really crazy for all of us. I mean, we don't grocery shop the same. We don't go to the doctor the same. We do nothing the same. And I got to believe that it's had a direct impact on how voting has been rolled out this year. So I just want to get things started. I'm going to ask, so Jeanette, you know, how has COVID-19 impacted this year's registration process?
Well, it definitely has. We've seen a lot less in-person registrations. However, it's a great thing that it hasn't stopped people from registering to vote. We do have different options for people to go register online and things like that. So we have seen less people in person, but we do still get a lot of registrations. So good job, everyone.
That's great. That's great to hear. I was going to ask you, so, and because you're not seeing them in person, how are you able to kind of measure your, you know, that you're getting about the same cycle of people coming through in this particular election? Or are you actually seeing more paperwork, more phone calls? What's going on?
Yes, to both of those. We do get a lot of registrations, again, online. We also have a trickle of mail-in applications. That is a very good option for anybody who is not able to go out in person or who simply doesn't want to go out in person and get registered. We do still have the option to come in and get registered in our office in different locations. But definitely COVID has impacted the amount of people who are willing to go out and do that in person.
Well, okay. Well, you know, I have to say, Todd, my mom let me know today that her best friend in Chicago got her ballot. My best friend texted me while I was working today, said, I got my ballot in Naperville and I'm leaving right now to go cast my vote. So with all that being said, I couldn't floss back because I haven't received mine yet. So can you tell us a little bit about how ballots are moving through the Lake County community and when we might expect to get ours?
You should expect to get your ballot within the next couple of days. The first day that we were able to mail ballots out was September 24th, which is 40 days prior to each election. And it was interesting this year because the last presidential election, a little over 32,000 voters cast actual ballots by mail. And this first round of ballots that were mailed out, we quadrupled that. We mailed a little over 126,000 ballots. So that's exciting. And since then, we've received roughly 12,000 additional requests. So this year, and also the presidential election itself, everybody, for whatever reason, likes to participate in that. You know, I like people to participate in all elections because I think all elections are very important. However, this year, um, it's just been a change, and we're actually excited about that, even in the midst of a pandemic, that people still are interested in exercising that right.
Fantastic. I have to believe that. I can't tell you how many organizations are really pushing voting. I mean, the YWC, like county, we have our own voting initiative. A lot of the universities are actually doing studies on how many people are actually pledging to vote versus those who are going to go out and vote. You've got Rock the Vote. You've got our former First Lady, Michelle Obama. She's everywhere getting everybody. So I have to believe that is having a direct effect on people getting these ballots and wanting to vote in this election. So to that point, I wanted to talk about, which I think is really exciting. I read this on the website. We have special election voting boxes. So this is kind of a new dance because typically, either we went to the early voting site or we showed up on November 3rd. But the fact that there are another place to put your vote without having it be a big issue, that's pretty cool. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, due to the pandemic, when the legislature met over the summer, they proposed some laws that pretty much expanded voter registration. And the main expansion was a big push for vote by mail.
Okay.
And obviously, with vote by mail, we have so many people who are traditionalists. They like to vote in person, either on election day, but because of safety reasons, this was a good option. And along with that, there were some other changes, and one of those changes, it did give election authorities the ability to institute some new options. And one
Mhm.
of those options was drop boxes. So we do have drop boxes available throughout Lake County. We have four currently right now that are at the branch courts.
Okay.
Those are 24-hour drop boxes. So if a person receives their ballot by mail and they choose not to return it by mail, they can use one of those drop boxes. And so, again, it's only four that's available now, but when early voting starts October 19th, which is throughout the county, all of our early voting sites will also have drop boxes available. So if a person gets their ballot, if they get it now and they're undecided, and again, if they don't want to return it by mail, then they can go to any of those locations, the Dropbox locations, and drop their ballot there. Those will be collected daily and brought back, to the Lake County Clerk's office by election judges for processing. So that's pretty exciting. Like I said, that is something new, and it gives voters another option if they don't want to go to a polling place either through early voting or on election day.
Okay. One of the things that I want to also ask you, because I work with a lot of different people from young to mature and seasoned. And my mature and seasoned people, a little times are most of the time, are very, very skeptical of something brand new. And this being brand new, they wanted to know, and I want you to reiterate this again, that when they go in the box, someone has it that is a bona fide individual who can collect it and make it safe, because that is something that they are really skittish about. So could you just reiterate that again, that when you put it in the box, it's going to be okay?
Yes, when you put it in the box, either the 24-hour drop box or once the early voting sites open, those are collected daily by our election judges and brought back to our office. And one other thing, a misconception a lot of people have is vote by mail. Um, as when you go to vote in person, either during early voting or on election day, election judges are the ones who do the processing. It's the same thing with vote by mail. So it's not our staff that process the ballots. So, but a lot of people didn't know that, and sometimes they say, "Well, I don't want to vote by mail because I don't know what you got." We are the election authority, but we don't trust you. So, but the election judges are the ones that do that processing. So if you go, like I said, in person during early voting or on election day, that's who processes you, the election judges. Even if we have staff there, that's who does the processing. And any ballots that are received by mail is also processed by election judges.
Fantastic. Thank you. I don't, for all of my Facebook Live audience who's just joining us, welcome. This is the YWCA and the AACPG's conversation with the Lake County Clerk on voting. Our guests this evening are Todd Govain, who is the Deputy Clerk, and Ms. Jeanette Sanchez Garcia, because I doggone it, she and I are both hyphenated. I'm getting that name in, and she is our voter registration specialist. And we are so happy to have them. We've been talking a little bit about, how COVID has shifted the way we do things, about early voting in the boxes. But I've got a question for you, which this is my own question. How does this election compare to 2018 and 2016 in terms of just sheer mechanics? Has this been like crazy, or has this been about the same? And I'm gonna
Actually,
get that to Jeanette, because I'm quite sure she's probably like, yes, I'm on the front line, so I understand crazy.
Yes, definitely. Well, the first day of early voting, we had a line that was it was just through our lobby all the way to the court side. So people are very engaged this time around, which is great. And yes, definitely just the sheer volume of calls and registrations, and again, requests for mail-in ballots, they have been enormous this time, which is, we love to see that. And hopefully it keeps going and everybody gets out and votes.
I've got another question for you, Jeanette. So do we think, because the pundits on the news, they're saying that we won't probably find out who our president is for several weeks. Do you think it's several weeks, several days? How are you seeing this process playing out?
I'm sorry, you cut off a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So I wanted to find out from you, given what they've been saying on the news, that they think that we are probably not going to know who our president is in November on the election day. There's just going to be so much activity with all of this going on. How are you feeling about it? Do you think we're going to be able to do this, find out within a week or 2 weeks? Do you have any idea or any guesstimate out there?
Well, we do post our election results on the night of election day. And a lot of people don't know this, but the election is not actually final until 14 days after election day. So a lot of people don't know that, but we always do post our results on election night.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because I did know that, but you're right. Now everybody thinks that there's somebody just in time for every vote that comes in. There's like 1, 2, there's like little people running around doing stick figure numbers, and then all of the country comes together with this one person who's like this math savant who goes, and the winner is, but it's gonna, I know it's gonna take quite a bit this year just because of all the moving parts. I know that you both had shared with us, or shared with me earlier, that there's some really cool website information that you have. Could you tell us about it? And then I'm going to have our magic genie in the background pop it up. So tell us about the couple of website pieces, or at least pages on your website that we should be looking at to get more information.
Go ahead, Todd.
Okay. The website is lakecountyclerk.info. And once you go to the, Janelle, if you can just go back one screen. So once you type in lakecountyclerk.info, this is our main screen. And on the main screen, you'll see in the middle of the page, the very first button tab that you can click on, it's November 2020 election. And if you click on that, it's going to take you to this next page, which pretty much tells all the offices to be elected in this election. And then we have 3 columns. One is for ballot information, and under there, a person can see the candidate list. Any referenda that's going to be on the ballot for the upcoming election. We have where you can track your application and ballot if you've submitted that. The voter information guide will be on there, which will list pretty much the same information. It will also have all of the election day voting sites that will be open, in addition to information regarding the early voting sites and all the drop boxes. And if someone would like to see what actually is on their ballot, you can scroll down just below there. And if a person types in their address, that will pull up their actual ballot, what their ballot would look like, and what they can vote on once they go to the polls. So it's just a lot of information on this page. The next column is voter registration information. It gives the deadlines of a person. As Jeanette stated earlier, the pandemic has just altered the way people register to vote with deputy registrars, in-person registration. However, we have the additional options here where a person, if they have an Illinois driver's license or state ID, they can register online through the State Board of Elections website. Um, that information is there. If a person wants to register in person, there is a link to a brochure of all our partners in Lake County that provide voter registration. We actually ask that before you just show up, their phone numbers are listed there because some of the places still have limited contact with the public and they have maybe altered their hours. But the one good thing is if a person does not register in person at one of these locations or online, when early voting starts and on election day, a person still is able to register at that time and vote. Um, the other option is we have a mail-in application, and they can, as Jeanette stated earlier, that's another option for anyone who wants to register to vote. They can complete that and send it to our office. So all this good information is really all on one page. And then we have the voting options. If a person chooses to vote by mail, there's information there. When early voting starts, again, it's only available right now in our office through October 16th, and then October 19th, it's going to be available at 16 other locations throughout the county. And one change this year that we did make, all the early voting sites will be open from 8:30 to 7, Monday through Friday, and then on Saturdays and Sunday from 9 to 5. Uh,
Wow.
so that is from October 19th through November 1st. On November 2nd, which is the day before the election, there's only going to be 4 sites open, which are our state mandated sites, and those permanent early voting sites. And those sites established by statute are the 3 largest municipalities in Lake County, which happen to be Waukegan, North Chicago, and the village of Gurnee. But all the other times, um, the early voting sites will be available. And then on election day, we have 121 neighborhood sites that will be open. So many options, a lot of information for anyone that is interested in getting registered and actually voting in the election.
And we'll put that website out on our Facebook page so that they can really get at it. And I will also make sure that we put it on the YWCA Lake County's website so that they can get more information around it. But it brought me to this question. I am a polling judge, but I can tell you that I have been in many other facilities where I am kind of the young person in the group. And because of COVID, there have been a lot of seniors who have decided, don't want to get sick, can't do it. Have you found that you're in need of poll workers? And if so, Jeanette, how do we get them on board? Is there still training classes? Do you need them? Could you
We always need election judges, and we always welcome anybody who is willing to come in and volunteer with us. It actually is a paid position, and anybody that wants any further information about that can find that in our office by giving us a call. We do still have some training available, and yeah, if anybody's interested in that, we'd be happy to have you.
Fantastic. Well, I tell you, I think, is there one more page on your website that you guys wanted to show us before we get closer to the end of this very dynamic and very informative presentation? I think there might be one more. Was there another page?
There was the online voter registration application website. This is through the State Board of Elections. So anybody who needs to update their information or register for the first time can use this application, and all they would need is a valid Illinois driver's license or state ID. As long as it's not expired, even if it doesn't have the current address on it, it can still be used to update your information. That is the website there. It's ova.elections.il.gov. And for anybody who is already registered, we also have our lakevoterpower.info page. That is a website where you can easily access a lot of your information, like your different districts that you're eligible to vote for. You can also log in and view and even print a sample ballot on there. There are many useful resources. That's actually also the website where you can log in and request your vote by mail ballot. So that would be the easiest way to do that, rather than having an application mailed to you and then having to mail it back. You can log in directly there and complete that process electronically.
Fantastic. This is great. So the last thing that I had, someone had given me a question to ask you about. For those individuals who have been recently incarcerated that are now out and are re-entering into society, is there anything specific that they need to know for them to be able to vote, or will they be, or do you have any information around that?
Yes, actually, and this is a good question because it varies from state to state. If someone in Illinois has been convicted of a felony and they've served, served time, once they are released, they can re-register to vote. Illinois is not a state where if you are convicted and confined, then your right to vote is taken forever. So a lot of people, we get a lot of calls regarding that. And if they need to register to vote, registration requires, as I said, they can do this up to and including on election day. They need 2 pieces of ID. Both have to have their name, and one has to have their physical address where they actually reside.
Okay. And I have one more question that just came up. What COVID-19 safety measures will be in place at the polling stations?
That is a good question. I had that. I had that down. So even though there's been a lot of talk about vote by mail, again, as I stated earlier, there is a huge block of people who just like to vote in person. So during early voting and on election day, all of our judges are required to wear masks.
Okay.
We will have sneeze guards available. We will have floor markers to help with social distancing. The election judges have hand sanitizer. We have wipes to wipe common equipment. One other thing that we're doing during early voting to limit the contact, any kind of contact with anything other than your ballot, we have a disposable stylus that individuals can use with our touch screens. So they don't have to touch the screen, but again, the judges are sanitizing those, after each one. And we are encouraging anyone when they come, because they do have to sign their application for ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, either during early voting or on election day, but you know, bring your own pen. BYOP.
All right, there you
You
go.
know, so
I,
that really limits your physical interaction. You know, with things that are typically shared in the
mhm.
poll place, you know, election pens. So you can use that to mark, you know, your ballot on election day. So we are taking, so we just want people to know that if you choose not to vote by mail, um, that you will have a comfortable and safe experience if you go vote in person.
Fantastic. One more question just came in. Do voters have to return their mail-in ballots via U.S. Postal Service, or can they drop it off with someone?
Well, that's a good question. They can return it through the mail if they choose. If they do choose to return it via the postal service, it does have to be postmarked by election day, November 3rd. And then, as Jeanette said, we have that 14-day window to receive and process any vote by mail ballot that is postmarked November 3rd or before.
Mhm.
Um, we have drop boxes this year. So if a person, they can use no matter where they live, where they're registered to vote, they can use any of the drop boxes that are available. And right now, we only have 4 that are available that are 24-hour, and those are located at all our branch courts in Lake County. One is in Vernon Hills, one is in Mundelein, one is in Round Lake, and one is in Park City. And then once early voting begins, October 19th, countywide, we will have 16 additional sites. That a person can go in during those hours and
Mhm.
not stand in line to vote, but also to drop their ballot.
Fantastic. One more question is coming in. Boy, they're coming in fast and furious. What? So here is this question is, what do voters need to register to vote on site at polling places?
So the same thing that would normally be required if you're registering to vote with a deputy registrar would be the same things that would be required at the polling place. So 2 forms of ID, they both have to have your name. One has to have your name and your current address. So the majority of people will arrive with a driver's license and a debit card because they are 2 things that most of us carry in our wallets. However, there are other forms of ID, so anything like a current utility bill from the past 30 days, anything with some contractual value that has your name and address will work.
Fantastic. Well, I have to tell you, this has been a great discussion. It's gone by super fast. And you guys are truly the voter savants of Lake County. I have enjoyed talking to you. We've gotten so much great information. Again, thank you, Todd Cobain. Thank you to the lovely Jeanette Sanchez, Garcia.
Thank you
And
for having us.
I really enjoyed it. It's been a good conversation. It's a necessary conversation on voting. I want to encourage everybody in the Facebook Live community to make sure you go out and vote. Thank you again for being here. And I want to ask you, if you like today's presentation, please like us on Facebook. Please like us, comment, and share. We are going to have some wonderful presentations coming up in October. We've got one coming up where we're talking with seniors about COVID-19, about childcare, about just being as a senior in Lake County. You want to mark your calendars for that, so please go out to our website on AACPG so that you can get the date and the information on that. I also want to remind everyone that this is still COVID season, so please take care of yourself. And again, thank you guys so much. My name is Cheryl Hudson Jackson from the YWCA Lake County and the AACPG. Please remember to vote, be safe, and have a great evening. Thank you.